before I came to Scotland, I was living in Texas, and I would go to the art house cinema because I love art films. And I would see Bergman and Fellini, all the kind of filmmakers that inspired me. And one day, this film showed up called Local Hero. And I knew nothing about it, but and I don't even think I knew it was a Scottish film. But I went to see it because I saw all the art house films, and I went to see it, and like, wow, what a great little film. Except it was kind of weird because it had subtitles. And it was like, why is this film subtitled? And it's like, because, I don't know, people can't understand Scottish accents, which I thought, they're speaking English. It's pretty straightforward. So, and I thought at the time, it was a great film. I still think it's a great film. So that's probably my favorite Scottish film, to tell you the truth. Local Hero. I think now people wouldn't consider that an art house film because it's kind of a comedy, you know, it just delivers as a comedy does. But at the time it was like an art house thing because it was a foreign film, being Scottish. My preconception now, based on a history of seeing Scottish films, is that I won't like them and they'll be too bleak and miserable. And they'll basically dig a hole for me to get into, but won't let me have a ladder to get back out at the end. So, I mean, it's an interesting thing as far as a filmmaker myself, I don't mind bleak, miserable films. I love them. I grew up watching Eastern European and French bleakness and Scandinavian bleakness. I love that stuff. But these guys know that if they're going to dig you into a hole, they can't leave you there. You know, they got to leave you an escape route at the end because films, they either feed your soul or they suck the life out of you. So it's like, I don't mind having the life sucked out of me for an hour and a half, as long as at the end, I can have my life given back. The promise is you're going to enjoy this film. You're going to be glad you went to see it. And most British films over the last maybe, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 years, other than the ones coming out of working title, because they've got the secret, which is make films that satisfy audiences, which is basically the job a film has to do. And the first job a film has to do is attract an audience. And once it attracts you, then it's got to deliver on that promise. It's your film. You have to take responsibility for it. You're in charge. And you have to deliver to the audience because the director serves the audience. At the end of the day is one of my kind of cardinal rules, which is if it doesn't make money, then you're not doing it right, because a film that's done it right will make money because it will attract an audience. Different. Although if you make a good film, you know, and you get it hyped in Scotland, they'll embrace you in LA for a while until you make a couple that don't make any money, because what they're after is your heat, you know, and you know, they're not being nice to you because they like you. They're being nice to you because you've got something they want. And if you don't have that after a while, which is make them some money, then they're not going to be too friendly with you. I was at a meeting once where I talked to a producer who I was actually pitching, you know, to work for him. And he made Cynthia Rothrock kickboxing movies, which are not the highest quality movies on earth. And he was actually a lawyer. And he said, what kind of guy are you? What kind of guy are you? Are you one of these arty-farty guys, or are you a bottom-line guy? And I'm like, I'm an arty-farty guy. But I didn't say that. I went, I'm a bottom-line kind of guy. I'm bottom line all the way, baby. And he goes, good, good, because I don't like these arty-farty guys. And I said, it's not me, man. It's not me. Although, it's like in the background, I am an arty-farty guy. So I had to learn some lessons there about that, which was, you want to be, as an artist, you want to be an arty-farty guy. But you have to deal in the business world where you have to be a bottom line kind of guy. And actually the two aren't different, because your art needs to deliver. You know, good art delivers. Good art people want to see. Good art becomes famous. Good art draws an audience. So you just have to be a good arty-farty guy. And they aren't in conflict. Sometimes they appear to be, but they aren't really. I'm at a dinner party that I'm throwing in Hollywood for some friends, which are media people. One of them is a guy named Lou Morheim, who's he's famous in Hollywood because he bought the rights for Seventh Samurai from Akira Kurosawa, took it to Warner Brothers, was developing it to be the producer of that film for the Seventh Samurai, and the film got taken off of him by a more prestigious person who worked at Warner Brothers. Anyway, Lou became a friend of mine in Hollywood, and we're sitting at a dinner table, and we're having dinner with some other media people, and he's telling a story. Right? And he's going, anyway, one day, blah, 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 Hollywood, this, that. Brilliant. We're all at the end of it. We think, fantastic. What a story. And we're all laughing. And I go, I've got a story. I've got a story. And they all look at me and I go, well, and I start telling my story. I did this and I did that and I did this. And they're listening, right? And I'm not getting the same reaction. And at the end of the story, I go, and that's it, that's my story. And there's dead silence. Dead silence. And Lou looks at me and he says, my story was better than your story. And I just went, And it was like, and that's it. It's like, that's what's going on in this business. You know, it's like, Scottish films need to tell better stories. You know, they need to like get that right, because when you tell a good story, the audience loves it. At that dinner party, the audience loved that story that Lou told. He's a pro though, the guy's a master. You know, he's been at it for 50 years, and I'm a neophyte, I'm a journeyman in my work. So, but it was a good lesson to learn. Tell a better story. They want you to make a great film and they want you to join their club. But if you don't make the kind of film they want, which is something that satisfies an audience, then you're not gonna be invited into that club. Distributors are looking for one thing, which is an easy sell. You know, they're not looking to take on something that's a hard sell. And so if you make a film that they look at and they go, I can't take this and sell it to Poughkeepsie straight away. You know, I'm gonna have to work this film. I'm gonna have to work for my living, which I always thought they did. You know, I thought they took their quirky film and they worked that puppy. And it's like, nah. They look for something they can sell. And because they're middlemen, they want to buy something cheap and sell it and make money in between. So they're not looking for hard work. Now, if you've got like a producer and you've got like a distribution person involved and they're all part of your little kind of media entourage, and they're willing to work hard for you, then fine, you can get away with it. But if you don't have any of that organized and you don't know that you've got that, then you're fighting an uphill kind of battle, basically. If you make your difficult, quirky film, now you've got to fight the battle to get it distributed. Now you've got to fight the battle to get it to the audience. I'm pitching a film which is about ghosts in Vietnam. It's about an American who fought in Vietnam, who goes back 20 years later and finds that his company that was all killed in an ambush is actually, they're ghosts now, right? So I'm pitching this to this guy at Universal, and it's going really good, and I'm really, because I love the story, still do. I'm telling him to, and at the end of the whole thing, I'm thinking, nailed it. And he says, what genre is that picture? And I went, that picture is a drama ghost sort of action-y thing, mabob, man. And he goes, And you know, right then I realized I had like loser tattooed on my forehead. It's like, baby, genre. You know, if I'd said it's a horror film, he would have gone, I'm kind of liking it. But the trouble is, I didn't know what genre it was because it wasn't a genre. I hadn't really pushed the kind of, it's a horror film. I didn't really push the drama because I hadn't decided which one it was. I went to the film house a couple days ago and I saw a film called The Mystery of Picasso. And it's about Picasso's technique of painting. And it has an unusual technique where he paints onto a screen where you can see the paint coming in, but you don't see him. And I can't remember the filmmaker, but it was a French guy, famous French filmmaker. Now he knew that just watching that for an hour and a half was going to bore the audience. So while Picasso painted, and he's a brilliant painter, so you have a great subject, the filmmaker made a great film. It's a documentary, but he still made a great film with drama in it. And he knew that every few minutes they were going to get bored with that particular thing, so we'll cut to another thing. And they'll get bored with that, so we'll cut to another thing. And then we'll get bored with that, so we'll go to a little live action. So it's not the subject. It's like, yeah, make films about Scottish culture. Just make a good film. You know, the subject is not the film. Films have a function, which is to entertain an audience. One thing that I liked about Hollywood is that, because when I first made a film in Hollywood, I was concerned that they're only interested in the bottom line. They're only interested in money. But after being there, I learned the beauty of that. It's not that they only want to make money. They want to make great films. There's lots of ways to make money. You don't have to make a film to make money. You can invest in some sort of commodity globally and make money. So why would you make a film to make money? It's like, because we want to make films. And we want to make great films. It's just making a great film is a tough way to make money. But they still want to make money. So that's the focus you need. When I was teaching film production at Napier, my students would say, how do you get into filmmaking? I'm like, I don't know, I'm teaching filmmaking at Napier, I'm still working at that. But I think that what happens is there's a million ways. You know, you find any way. It's like a water running down a mountain. It finds a way. And you just have to keep trying until you find that way. I don't think there's any one particular course you take to get into film production. And it depends on what you want to do. I mean, if you want to be a producer, then you have to go out and raise money. It's as simple as that. You're not going to be, nobody's going to give you that job. You make the job up. Same with a director. It's like, you don't go and get a job, you create the job.